regional high school for the baseball game against the Green Knights and the St. Mary's Gales. So let's just jump right into it. Our monologue is always sponsored every week by Coriano Trucking, and I haven't been up here and actually playing sports for over 40 years, but it's great to be back, and you can drive around, see Little League guys. That's when you know spring is coming. Right?
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us today on location, and thanks to the St. Joe's staff for accommodating us.
Yeah.
Eli, welcome to St. Joe's.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's a very nice campus here. The weather's been fantastic up until today and yesterday with the little bit of rain and the wind here in Jersey.
Yep.
But we are excited. We are ready to go. And we have a lot of sports to talk about. We have a couple guests joining us. Some of the baseball coaches of St. Mary's and St. Joe's will potentially be joining us
Hopefully.
throughout the hour. So stay tuned for that. And the game will be available right here on the Surge Sports YouTube, the alternate channel for today's game and broadcast.
Yes, and we have our producer, Rob Garanti, right behind us, taking care of all the production work. And let's just jump into it. So there's a lot of stuff going on, Eli, as you know.
Yes.
Let's recap. First of all, let's recap the women's NCAA championship and the whole Caitlin Clark,
Yes.
right? Cinderella story kind of came to a crashing halt.
Yeah.
But they ran up against the buzzsaw in South Carolina, and Dawn Staley's team. They were 38-0, and
Absolutely.
and it kind of rained on Caitlin Clark's parade.
Yeah. So I honestly think that when it comes to the women's game, this was more exciting to watch than the men's, in my opinion.
They had
This year,
bigger viewership.
They had bigger
too.
viewership. It was a 4 million difference point between ABC's women's game and the men's game. The women's game was more exciting to watch. For Caitlin Clark, it was a horrible way to see her end. You know, I was really hoping that she would take home the championship for Iowa and to go into the WNBA strong. But unfortunately, you couldn't get that big victory there. But on the other hand, South Carolina has been a fantastic team all season. They played well. They dominated it. Even though down in the first quarter at times, they were able to somehow come back and win it all. And a well-deserved game for them and the coaching staff as well. And this is exactly what South Carolina needed and wanted. And they're off to a bright future. But for Caitlin Clark, a big future is ahead in the WNBA.
Oh, she'll be the number one pick, obviously.
Regardless of the salary, you're going to say that is more that we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching Caitlin Clark, and now the WNBA is going to be the WNBA that we wanted to see. It hasn't been at that spark, but now
That's right.
we're going to see a huge spark
From
in
a
women's sports
viewership perspective.
and
yeah.
WNBA
You're
for
right.
sure.
You're right. So let's go over to the men's side, and UConn wins its second consecutive NCAA championship. They looked awesome. It was kind of a close game
Yes, it was.
until like 10 minutes left, and that's what
what whole men's games are about.
right.
Really.
But that's what UConn has been doing throughout the whole tournament. They get tight game for a while, and then 10 minutes they pull away. They were just dominant. And,
Absolutely.
So we got to be careful here about talking about the word dynasty, right? It's
Right.
the first back-to-back since Billy Donovan's Florida Gators back in 2006, 2007.
Right.
And then before that, we had the Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, Christian Laettner, Thomas Davis, Duke team. So it's very, very difficult to repeat. So you got to give all the credit in the world to Dan Hurley for sticking with these kids. And I know he's a hot property now. They're talking about, potentially luring him to Kentucky, which that didn't happen. We'll talk about that anyway. But he really put together a great team, and it was a dominant performance.
And UConn definitely had a fantastic game. It was a great one to watch, rather.
It really was.
It really, the UConn game, it was a slow start. It was competitive in the first quarter. The second quarter, we began to see a split. But as we know in men's March Madness, it all comes down to the final 2 minutes of the game. You can't tell, you can play the rest of the game, but it all comes down to the last 2 minutes and the final few seconds until that buzzer sounds.
But this was a little different. With 10 minutes left, they just pulled away.
They did. But for UConn, though, it was a fantastic win for them. And it's a well-deserved back-to-back win. And they're off to a big future. They have a different dynasty and a different set of motion ahead of them.
Yes, they do. And today is actually they're having a parade for the UConn Huskies in Hartford, Connecticut today.
Right.
So all of Connecticut is going to the parade today.
Absolutely.
But you got really the job that Dan Hurley has done. And when we talk about Dan Hurley, I mean, like I said, his brother Bobby was the point guard for back-to-back championships, and He's the coach at Arizona State right now.
Right.
And, of course, his father, Bobby Hurley Sr., legendary coach at St. Anthony's in Jersey City. And it's just, like I said, we talked about March Madness in depth, and it was just great. It didn't disappoint, and year after year. And, like I said, I haven't missed an NCAA men's final in 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
It's been exciting, and the future's wild.
There it is. So also, obviously, what's going on today is the Masters. And, today's what they call moving day, right? It's going to separate the guys that are going to be competing on Sunday. And, I gave my couple of picks last week. They're not working out very well.
No.
Defending champ John Rahm is kind of struggling.
Yes.
But DeChambeau is playing hot, and shame on me, because remember I gave you my 4 picks?
You gave me my picks, yeah.
And I didn't have Scotty Scheffler in there.
And he's definitely the top one to watch right now.
He's the #1 player in the world, and he's playing like it right now, so he'll be up there on Sunday.
Yeah.
I did have one of my 4 picks. I did have Koepka. He's not going to make it.
No.
And who else did I have? I had Colin Morikawa, though,
Yes, you did.
who's actually doing very well. And I had Victor Hovland, who didn't make the cut.
Absolutely.
But some of the biggest stories coming out of Augusta is obviously Tiger Woods. He made the cut. That's his 24th consecutive cut. That's a record at the Masters.
Yeah.
And, I was watching him very closely. He's so physically fit.
Right.
But I could see him, he's still got to walk 2 rounds of golf. And
Yes, he does.
Kind of so noticeable, little bit of a limp. The announcers didn't say anything about it, but it's going to be a mammoth task for him to finish this tournament healthy. But he's in the mix, and people would love to see him win.
Absolutely. They're going to want to see him win. Tiger Woods is definitely going to be the top-notch guy to watch for.
Yep.
We talk about golf, you think of Tiger Woods. His name is going to stand out, and that's what most people are going to be watching out for. So definitely some notes to take a look from the Tiger Woods perspective.
Yeah, no, but this is the Masters. It's one of the most hardest tickets to get in sports.
Yes,
and
it is.
If you have an opportunity to get there, which I have not, I would love to someday. It's a bucket list thing for me.
Yep.
But we're going to see great golf. It's one of the most beautiful golf courses in the world. Maybe Pebble Beach could rival that a little bit. But it's really spectacular. But the weather yesterday was like British Open conditions. Very, very unusual to see that kind of a wind. It was literally blowing golf balls
everywhere
and sand all over the place. So the weather conditions will play a part in who's going to win this tournament, and I just can't wait.
It's been a big issue, though, when it comes to the weather. Even here, we had a high school game yesterday for St. Mary's. In the 12 o'clock, we had no game. It was just like the early 12 o'clock rainstorm out of nothing. But the wind was definitely a big factor. No big factor in the baseball perspective. The Gales won 5-2 yesterday versus Lyndhurst. But it will definitely factor in. We also have wind today, potentially a little bit of rain. So the weather's a big issue with all sports right now. But you do have some good heat in there, so that's a positive note.
Yep. Just a couple of quick notes I neglected to mention when we were talking about college basketball. It was big news. John Calipari leaves Kentucky, and he goes to Arkansas. And I kind of thought Scott Drew from Baylor was going to be the one that was going to get that job, but he actually turned it down. So they ended up going out and hiring Mark Pope, who's a former Kentucky basketball player, but kind of unproven. He's the BU coach. So that's a big risky move for them. But he does have pedigree from University of Kentucky, so we'll see how that pans out.
Absolutely.
Really good stuff going on, right?
Yeah, it really is.
So let's talk about it. Like, we're here for a baseball game, and this campus is buzzing. We got lacrosse players on the left, and we got the baseball guys
practicing
showing up upstairs, and the game starts at 11 o'clock. Yep.
All right, football to the left.
And they just got off because the lacrosse guys just got off. So
yeah.
But this is a beautiful setting for stuff, and it's baseball season, right?
It is.
So we're Yankee fans, we're Met fans. Obviously, as you know, I'm not a Met fan. I'm a Yankee fan.
Right.
But you got, everybody gets all excited about the first 15 games. The Yankees started out 10-2, one of their best records ever, and they made the World Series every other time they did that.
Yeah.
But, it's very, very early. So we talked about the Yankees before the season started, saying outside of Juan Soto, they really had the same team. So we're going to see, but they got off to a hot start. Anthony Volpe, former Del Barton player, is now the starting shortstop, and I think what's going to make a difference, he's not a rookie anymore. So
Yes.
the pressure of him taking over as shortstop as a rookie in New York for the Yankees is paramount.
It's been crazy.
And he's really adjusted. But it's a long season, so Judge is off to a slow start, and the Mets got off to a horrific start, and now they're starting to
pick it up again.
Right.
This is just how baseball usually is. It has like that weird start. Either one team has so much success, especially in the New York area. They have either so much success and then downfall towards the end of the season.
Yep.
And in some cases, you have a slow start, pick up, then go back down again, or make a playoff run out of the whole deal.
Yeah.
The Yankees, Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. We know that.
Yep.
He'll have good games, and he'll have definitely some bad.
And that's exactly what I told people. He's off to this slow start, but he's still going to hit
This is
280.
every year, though.
He's going to hit 45
Yes,
home
he
runs,
is.
and he's going to drive in 108 runs.
But this is how every year it is for
Yep.
for the New York Yankees and for more in particular Aaron Judge.
But the Juan Soto addition has been proven to be
Has
a good
been
thing.
incredible. Yes.
Maybe this is a one and done here, depending on if Steve Cohen from the Mets offers him more money than Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees.
Absolutely.
We'll see. But overall, like I said, don't panic if your team's off to a bad start or your team's off to a hot start. Things even out over 162 games.
It does,
season.
and it's a very long season, and it continues the success level, and we will see that for sure in the prime future.
Yep. Looking forward to it. I mean,
is.
Every day is, we watch it, but again, my pet peeve here, I think, all Wednesday Yankee games are on Amazon now or something
Yeah,
to that
that's
effect.
a big one. Yeah, and then you have the Peacock and Apple TV games. That's a little bit of annoying too. I think they're ending Peacock service, I believe, this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe,
So,
yeah. But
guess-
I certainly know Rob and I remember every game was on Channel 11, right? 162 games a year. It was staple, and the Mets were on Channel 9, and things have changed.
It has changed, for sure.
But so we got through the whole Ohtani situation, right?
Yes,
He came
now
out
that's done.
Yep.
We're glad because we don't have to worry about hearing the whole situation as often.
All right, let me ask a question to you guys.
Yes.
I don't know if you can hear me now on the microphone.
Yeah.
Jim, what are your thoughts of Ohtani with this deferred, this $180 million deferred contract?
I don't have a problem with it, Rob.
It's crazy.
I mean, maybe it's a way of getting around this luxury tax thing, but you know what? He's got so much money anyway. Defer it. He's going to go into the Bobby Bonilla Hall of Fame and get paid for the next 30 years. That's a pretty good deal for him.
I mean, it's got a regulation where a certain percentage can be deferred, not 90% of it.
Well,
That's true, too.
Obviously, there's nothing in place to do that, and they're gonna close that loophole somehow,
At some
some
point.
way. You got it.
A lot of stuff in the NHL. I think we got to move to that.
We do. We're winding down. We got
Yes,
2 or 3 games
but the
left in the
biggest
season.
news, I think, right now, the Arizona Coyotes. They were announced last night that
They're moving to
according to
Utah.
Emily Kaplan on X and formerly Twitter, that they're moving to Utah. The players were informed last night. Now, it was not confirmed to the fans or the rest of the media,
Yep.
but insiders have been told that the Arizona Coyotes informed the players that they're moving to Utah. That is a bold move.
I know.
I'm honestly shocked about that. I honestly did not believe it at first.
But this is like one of the deals when Indianapolis packed up in the middle of the night
Yes.
and moved, right?
It's one of the strangest stories I think I've ever seen
Yeah.
from the NHL perspective. But if it's going to help you win, it helps you win. It helps you grow fans. It grows fans. But I do feel bad because they do have a fantastic, planning for the stadium to happen. And then
Well, they're going to play where the Utah Jazz play, so I think
you bring more fans and more hockey fans to the area. That will help definitely for sure.
Yeah. But that was a kind of a surprise. Came out of nowhere. I wanted to bring that up as well, but of course you're right on top of it. So
Yeah.
But we got the playoffs coming
Yes.
up, and right, yeah,
April
I know.
20th.
I know you keep bringing up. I'm going to get in trouble because if the Rangers win the President's Cup, that means they're going to be.
Well, as of last night, I mean, they keep losing, but I think they're losing on purpose. They don't want to win that President's Trophy. You don't blame them.
No,
You don't blame them out of that perspective. But if they win it, they win the Stanley Cup or nothing. No, I'm not going to root for the Rangers in the playoffs. I want to make that clear. Devils, I'm disappointed with them. They're out of the playoffs.
I can see.
And Jack Hughes, he ended his season early to go with shoulder injury, surgery. So
Well, if you're out of it, no sense in trying to
Yes.
play through an injury that could hurt you long term.
absolutely,
Kind of thing.
it makes sense. And the bottom line is the Rangers are looking dominant right now, despite their couple of losses. They're going to be a top team to watch out for. You also have Carolina and Boston on the East Coast side.
Oh.
They're, again, Carolina and Boston. Boston won the President's Trophy last year. Now that if they don't win the President's Trophy, now 3 points behind the Rangers in first place, they could potentially win it all. They won a Stanley Cup recently, so the future is definitely bright for this team.
Yeah, and you look on the West Coast, right? You got guys like Connor McDavid starting to turn it up, and for the Edmonton Oilers, the Vancouver Canucks. So we said this is going to embark. You got to win 16 games in the playoffs to win the Stanley Cup, which is why we say week after week after week, it's always the hardest trophy to win in sports.
And joining us now is St. Mary head coach Nigel Archibald as the team just arrived.
Great.
So I'll let him take my chair, and I'll stand next to you and let him take over. Good. Welcome.
Coach Archibald, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Jim Monahan.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat for a second.
Oh, I'm scared.
I know you're going to work, but how's it feel to come to St. Joe's for a big game today?
It feels like home. I was here for a couple of years. Won the Triple Crown, I think, in 2020. So
Okay.
it's always good back. Always good to come back. Coaching staff here is like family. So
You're a St. Joe's grad?
I'm not, but I was coached here from 2015.
Oh,
to
you were
20.
coach. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we won a state championship. So
I'm an alumni from St. Joe's, obviously 100 years ago. But give us an assessment of your team early on in the season here.
so far we're young. There's some talent. Just piecing it together. Just try to make a run in late May.
You had a big win yesterday versus Lyndhurst. Can you describe that? I mean, 5-2 is a comeback from behind, first time trailing this season.
When I think of it, it was a good win. I knew we were going against Pizzuti. He was a senior pitcher over there. He's a first-team all-league kind of guy. We've been putting a lot of runs up, so I know it was going to be a tough game. We went down early, but it was good to see the kids battle back and get the victory.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, because, year after year, your players turn over, you lose guys, and new kids come up, Is it the kids have to adopt to Coach Archibald's style, or does Coach Archibald have to change his style to accommodate the new players he has on the team?
That's a good question, but they have to adapt to my system. Just to build. The seven kids on the team last year that are back this year have been tremendous. So we talk about it in coaches room all the time. It's like the kids that came back from last year, they've bought in, they understand. There's no going backwards. So now as a program, it's just now we just go. We just go and go and go. So, they have to buy into what I like to do. And like I said, the kids now just took the reins and kind of help. So it's been amazing so far. My 2 years over here.
And
being a Gale.
You definitely did a good job with the transfer additions this year. Albert Maldonado, especially. He had a grand slam the other day in the North Arlington game. You had a couple other guys, Baracho, Lahara, all coming in here. What is that like, getting these transfer guys here? I know it's tough. Like, how do you do it?
You just never know what they're going to give.
Yeah.
But, first is school. So you want the transition to school to be good, the friendship, relationships, and be comfortable, grades. And on the field, it's good to see. Albert Maldonado's pitching today, 6'4", all-world kind of guy. So, today's a big test from versus St. Joe's, a great ball club. I'm looking forward to seeing, the outcome.
Well, listen, I couldn't be more appreciative, and Eli and I've spending a moment. I know you got some work to do, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good luck
All right.
today.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Play ball.
Yeah, I wanted to say good luck, but I'm a St. Joe's guy. All right.
All righty.
That was a nice visit. I didn't know that Coach Archibald was a coach at St.
Yes,
Joe's
he was.
here, too. That's
Farmers,
great.
St. Joe's coach. And
Small world, right?
Well, but listen, that's a big game for the Gales coming up later. Albert Maldonado, he's pitching today. We talked about him just now. He had a grand slam that North Arlington game on Wednesday. The success level he pretty much has an RBI in every single game that the Gales have played so far. And that is going to be crucial. He's a star player. He's definitely going to be out there
Excellent.
with Blaise Conte, who is another star player on the Gales team, for the future of the success for the Gales team. He's only a sophomore right now, too.
Yeah, so you've got good talent on both sides of the field this time. And I think about going back to St. Joe's, St. Joe's had an alumni, Tommy LaStella, a few years ago, actually won a World Series ring with the Chicago Cubs of all teams, right? So he's had a great career. Pat Kivlahan made the major leagues with the Padres. So these are the guys that are going to be in the minor leagues, and these are the guys that are going to be future major leaguers. And we could be seeing one today. You never know.
Absolutely.
Right? Good stuff. That
it
was
really
great.
has been good. And let's transition now to NFL. There's been a couple news that happened. First off, I think the biggest one is the Packers will play the Eagles in Brazil. I think that's going to be – I was not a huge fan of that decision. I don't know. I mean, it's a good matchup, but it's the first game of the season for both these teams.
Yep.
I don't know if we're going to see the same level of talent as we would in maybe like a Week 15 game or like a later on type of game. I mean, I understand, you're in Brazil, get the whole weather perspective, but for the matchup that you have, I'm not a whole good fan of that one.
Well, listen, you and I have talked about this extensively, right? Now they're playing games in Germany and in England and Mexico, and this is just what the NFL is doing. They're expanding their international presence, and there's no more profitable sports league than the NFL, and but I did have a Green Bay Packers fan that was kind of delighted. Says, "Hey, I may be going to Brazil in September." So that's what they want, and people are going to travel, and
they're going to do it. They'll make sure the success continues.
You better believe it, right?
Other news: Payne and Eli alternate broadcast for Monday Night Football is extended through 2034. It's a big one. I mean, decent show. Not a huge fan of it, but
I'm not either.
It is what it is. If it brings in the Benjamin, who cares?
I got it.
And Patriots signed Kyle Duggar to a $66 million 4-year deal. And the last note, Josh Allen, linebacker, signs a 5-year deal with $150 million with the Jaguars. We talked about his name a lot.
Yeah.
The other Josh Allen in the league, not the actual quarterback
right.
from the Buffalo Bills.
And what we also talked about is look who's getting the money. These defensive linemen are getting paid.
And they deserve it, though.
Right? The running backs are no longer getting paid, so it's the quarterbacks and the defensive linemen that are getting the lion's share of these contracts.
Yeah.
So that's a changing dynamic. From a few years ago, meaning maybe the running back position isn't as important as it once was. I always think you have to control the line of scrimmage, so eventually they're going to realize this and start paying those running backs again. We'll see how that goes.
Absolutely.
Right? How about the NBA, Eli? Give us a little.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA is wild. I mean, listen, you have the Knicks. They made the playoffs. They clinched the spot there. The Nets are officially done for in the NBA standings.
Yep.
Golden State secures a play-in game as well as LA and Sacramento, which is actually a pretty big shock there. Now, the team at this point right now, the NBA is looking at who's going to be in the top playoff spot and who's going to be part of the play-in. From the east side, you got to worry about Cleveland, Indiana, Philadelphia, Orlando, and Miami, all on the potential bubble. From the west coast side, New Orleans, Phoenix are the two teams that are in the mix of swapping between a play-in and a playoff spot, which means a ton of lot in the NBA.
Well, when you think about and we talked a little bit about it last week with the season Jalen Brunson's having for the Knicks. And they could potentially be the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yes.
Like, where are the Bucks? The Celtics are obviously the team to beat. But, we've seen them with a powerful team, and they haven't closed the deal. So, the Knicks with a 3 seed, and Brunson and OG Anunoby, these guys, John Randall Julius Randle won't be back. But we'll see. I know, Rob. I'm not an NBA guru either, but when you look out west, I actually think the sleeper team could be the Phoenix Suns because Kevin Durant has actually impressed me that he's still got that much in the tank. He's a scoring machine.
Yes.
And with him and Devin Booker that have a legitimate shot. Obviously, they're going to have to knock off the Nuggets to do it. And on the East, you got an Embiid, who got his nice little two-month rest. You can call it, he was injured. He was just resting. That's what the NBA does. They rest players when they're not supposed to. So they fake injuries, and that's – but Philadelphia could cause problems for the Knicks.
Absolutely.
So, depending on how the seedings play out. That's right,
Yeah.
So early prediction, Eli, the NBA MVP. I think it's kind of a clear cut. Got to be Luka Doncic.
I
He
think
has
so.
A triple double every night and so
Pretty
forth.
much. He's been the star player for this whole season. I don't think I can name another guy that would definitely stand out. You can't even say Curry. You can't say all these guys because they have not leapt to the talent that he has done. So I'm going to have to go with you on that agreement.
Yes, but he could win the MVP. But you know what? The Dallas Mavericks don't win big games.
Right.
So they're not going to be a threat. He can triple-double all he wants, but they're not going to win the NBA championship. So
that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
But the season Brunson's had with the Knicks, I think he has over 10 40-point games. And, you know, he's not even going to get a vote for MVP. But when you look at the team, he has picked this team up from, you know, just they made big trades and did all this. But he has truly come in and proven himself to be a leader.
I think we have a comment, maybe?
A comment from Frankie Pizzani.
Yeah, Frankie Pizzani, yes.
Knicks look great. Tatum will choke, as always in the playoffs.
Well, this is our loyal listener, Frankie Pisani. Actually, it is right up the street here. So him and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. But I think this Boston Celtics are going to the NBA Finals again, Frankie. But, yeah, I don't think your Knicks are going to go. They may win a series.
They may.
But they're not going to win more than that.
Absolutely.
You know, so, but thanks for the comment, Frank. Appreciate it. We get a lot of good feedback we've been getting a lot of emails and stuff at sportswithmono@gmail.com about these very things. We were talking about hockey before, and I did want to mention again that the Frozen Four was taking place this week, and it was Boston University, who my brother Steve is a graduate, my sister's a graduate, and my niece attends there. So they lost to Denver in overtime. Denver looking for their University of Denver looking for their 10th
consecutive.
No, not 10th. 10th overall NCAA title.
That'll be
and
great.
And then Boston College, of course, they shut out Michigan. Michigan, first time they were shut out in the Frozen Four in team history. So you got a matchup of Denver versus Boston College, and I know James Walsh from Long Island is a big fan, says we didn't cover it enough, so I wanted to make sure we brought that up this week. And it's very exciting, college hockey.
It has been exciting. You know, the viewership, although it's not the highest that we usually see it, but it's not bad at all. It's a good record and good everything.
Yeah. So... But anyway, so I think the finals tonight, so watch that. These are the future stars of the NHL.
Yes,
so
it is.
We know that, right?
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff going on, Eli.
Yes,
Let's jump into some random points here, right? And like I said, I just brought up, it was one of my points I wanted to bring up, that Embiid comes back for the Sixers after resting for basically 6 weeks. And there was a lot of speculation about you know, disclosing these injuries, and we know it goes on all the time, but he's back. Odd note, Buffalo Sabres have extended their postseason drought for 13 seasons.
Yeah.
And I know, Rob, when you and I were growing up, the Buffalo Sabres had some pretty good teams, great players. Tom Barrasso, one of the great goalies. Ryan Miller, second all-time for American-born players. And they had the Gilbert Perreault, Rennie Martin line, and they were good, but they just...
It wasn't the same.
13 years in a row. Whew, futility.
Yeah.
But from a hockey note, too, Sidney Crosby has just moved into 10th place on the all-time scoring list and got his 1,000th career assist the other day. And I know a lot of people don't like him, but you know what? He is a winner. He's an outstanding hockey player, and I can't believe, you know, everybody's hoping Connor Bernard turns into Sid the Kid. When Sid the Kid was the can't-miss guy, well, he didn't miss. He's got cups, he's got records, he's awesome. But how about the season Austin Matthews is having? We haven't seen one of these. Right?
Austin Matthews has been having a fantastic season. Sidney Crosby, I'll go back to that segment real quick. Yeah, he's definitely the greatest of all time. Definitely out there for the top 10 scorers. Congrats to him on that one. But let's go to Ovechkin. I think he is going to still break that record. That's my opinion. Bobby, what do you think? He's going to break the record, Ovechkin?
I'm not a hockey guy.
I think he would.
I know, but I don't want him to break this record. Yeah, he's still a Hartford
He's a
Whaler.
Whalers
He can't get out of there. in the days of Gordie Howe in 1980, played his last game, I think. Right?
Yeah.
But yes, and one other interesting thing, and it's a kind of a topic that's, very sensitive if you want to talk about the whole transgender athletes and collegiate sports. The NAIA has banned transgender athletes from competing in women's sports, and there's going to be a lot of different viewpoints
There's going to be
on
comments
it, but,
on that, yeah. So,
but-
I mean, I don't know how to view this. I mean, you're going to either have debates that they should create their own league now for them,
Yep.
or why is it the whole fairness, and it's going to turn ugly. That's
and
all
I
can
try
comment
not
right now.
to I try not to form an opinion on it, but
Right.
everybody has an opinion on it, and I think competing against women is unfair, and I support the NAIA's decision on this.
Yeah,
I just do, right? Yep.
I mean, at the same, I don't know.
Well, anyway,
We'll move along.
but before I random points, of course, I forgot to
That was
mention, it's
sponsored by-
sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
The official sponsor.
Eli, I'm sure you got a few points you want to bring up.
Yeah, the two quick notes up there. WNBA released their schedule this week. A couple games will be on Amazon Prime Video, CBS, and all that. So that is if you're interested to watch. And obviously, it will be very big to see where Caitlin Clark goes to. Obviously, she'll go number one.
To the
So,
Indiana Fever,
yes,
I think, have
Indiana
the number
Fever.
one
So
pick.
you'll be seeing a lot more primetime action and more TV time for them as well.
Yep.
And the other last note was the Sports Emmy nominations have came out. A lot of them going to NFL football and some football-themed shows. Big City Greens Classic, the one that we were talking about, they also received a nomination. That was with Ardo Cal, who was on our show.
Yes, he was.
So a couple of big names out there that did pick up some Sports Emmy nominations. So check out the sportsemmys.com for the nomination list and who will take home the big trophy award.
Yeah, and who was a couple of guys you mentioned that were part of the ESPN reduction in workforce? Who are those
That
names
they were
you
let
brought
go?
up? Yeah, let go last week.
Oh, man.
Oh, what was it?
The one was an NBA announcer.
Yeah, but there was
The NBA announcer...
Michelle Tafoya or something.
Oh,
like
no, well,
that?
yeah, I know. Not Lisa Salt. Oh, what's her name?
Andrea.
No.
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't think
Anyway.
of it. But I know she was the lead guy, for the... Bobby, take a look. Who's the lead... who was the woman that did Monday Night Football before she got
Susie
let go?
Colbert.
Oh, yeah. I think that was
Susie
it.
Colbert, yeah, right.
There it is. All right.
Anyway, so we covered a lot of stuff so
Yes.
far, right? And we always do a movie/book recommendation, right?
Yeah.
So I had an opportunity, and I'm a movie guy.
Yes.
I think Rob's a movie guy too, but I go back old-time movies too. And believe it or not, I had never seen the movie Citizen Kane, which is
Wow.
always ranked as one of the great top movies of all time. But I finally watched it. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No, but it's pretty good. Orson Welles was fantastic in it, and I finally got an opportunity to see it, and it's pretty good.
Go to Snooze Fest myself. All the hype.
I know. Rosebud, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eli, you got any recommendations? You see any movies this week?
No, I've not seen any movies, but there's a lot coming out. I mean, this summer, a lot of good ones.
Yeah, all right.
Animated ones. I'm looking forward to Garfield coming out. That's about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new Garfield movie coming out. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, what? I don't know. I always like to read the book series.
Hey, Eli likes his movies. I like my movies, Rob. You like
It's
your
coming out. I don't
movies,
know. I
you
mean, I think
Yeah,
so,
you know, that's kind
that's
of
gonna possibly win a lot of Oscars. That's gonna be like the Oppenheimer for this year.
it's kind of a crazy thing to be thinking about at this time in the world with
With all the
wars
wars
going
now we're
on.
going back to the Civil
and
War, yeah.
It's a topic that we really
That-
need to poison our young
Yeah.
kids to go to the movies and see what possibly could happen.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
I mean,
just perfect. That's all we need.
oh my goodness. So,
Yeah.
let's see. Eli, what else did we miss here so far
Notable
today,
passings.
you know?
That's the last segment for today.
Yeah. So, and I got a lot of debate on whether I was
yeah, I don't
going to
wanna-
bring this
yeah.
up or not. But
This one's a debatable one.
I'm going to bring it up because it's quote unquote notable, but for me, not in a good way. And it's O.J. Simpson dies of cancer at the age of 76.
Yeah, we could debate about that one all day.
And I know Eli wasn't around, but I know
No.
Rob was around. And, you know, I remember watching this guy as a football player, and he was one hell of a football player. but it was a complete facade behind the curtains and off the football field. He was a terrible human being.
Yeah.
And this came down. It was, quote unquote, the trial of the century.
Yes,
and,
it was.
But, you know, he had a history of this abuse early on. The evidence was just overwhelming to me.
Right.
And yet somehow the justice system failed. And
Right.
I honestly believe, you know, a lot of people say he didn't do it. You could debate all along. I've done a lot of research. The evidence to me was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And the arrogance of this guy afterwards, just living this life like nothing ever happened, was a terrible, terrible thing to see. But, you know, it happened. It happened in history. And, you know, I can't say, you know, rest in peace, because you
No,
know, you
you
should
can't.
never rest in peace for
When you
what
do that kind of thing, I mean, it's the biggest debate right now. It shouldn't be a debate though, that we're like talking about it.
Bad. That whole thing gave birth to the Kardashians.
Yes, it did, because he was part of the Dream Team defense team, and you know, say what you will about him, but they turned the whole paradigm from the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman into a whole racial thing. But the evidence just was overwhelming. The shoes, the cuts on the hand, the blood all over, the footprints. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? But I will tell you this, I had a wager with my brother on the verdict, because he says, oh, they got him dead to rights, he's guilty, no question about it, the evidence is overwhelming. And I said, but
Yeah.
there's something else going to take place, and I won a wager that he was going to be found not guilty. Subsequently found guilty in a civil lawsuit, which he never paid basically a dime to the families. So it was, you know, like I said, you can. I would love to hear some comments, or send us an email at Sports with Mono and Mono. But yes, I had to bring it up, as distasteful a topic as
Yeah.
it is for me. And Rob, it was actually ironic, because somebody had sent me a picture. The Buffalo Bills used to train at my alma mater, Niagara University. So I have a picture of O.J. Simpson and the Buffalo Bills in our campus Ratskeller, as they called it, our little campus pub.
Might have to save that for the history books.
Yeah, that's not going to be a picture I'm putting on the show.
No, you will not, but
and
all
I
right.
don't have our pictures like we usually do. We're going to get back to that next
Yes,
week.
we'll have that
but,
next week. Yep.
But also, from a notable passing perspective, and Rob, I think you'll be familiar with Jerry Grody, passed away. Former Mets catcher, was the catcher on the 1969 World Championship Miracle Mets.
Yeah.
And he played for, you know, probably 13, 14 years in the major leagues. Very well liked as a player. He passed away 16 years in the major leagues he played. And he hit .252, but he was a steady force. He caught Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, and that pitching staff. It was awesome. And he passed away at the age of 81. And I know we got some loyal listeners over here. Andrew, come on over and say hello. Andrew's been on our show.
Yeah. How you doing? Yeah, have a seat.
Andrew Carolyn.
How you doing, fella?
Brother Jim.
Have a seat for a second. So we're here. This is our first on-location show.
Beautiful.
You've been
Need
on,
one of these for the fall, Jim.
You've been on the show. As a matter of fact, we just had a conversation with head coach Augie Hoffman of the football team, who will be a guest on our show as we get
Excellent.
close.
Very nice.
So Andy, full disclosure, is obviously a St. Joe's alum as well. Andrew and I played on the same football team. So what do you think of the setting here today, Andy?
Well, you know, cold temps, but it's always nice to be home here at St. Joe's.
It is.
It is. I mean,
We
Eli
said it's
mentioned early in the show, right? The lacrosse team was out before the football team.
Yep.
Baseball up top. It's just, we love this place, right,
Yeah.
Jim?
No, like I said, we've been coming here forever, and you know, Eli is a St. Mary's
St.
guy,
Mary's,
so
so
he's
we're
going to be
rooting for them.
rooting
Yeah.
for them. But anyway, so this is our new co-host going
Yeah.
forward, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm interested to see Eli's progression, right? You're a
Yeah.
junior at St.
Yes,
Mary's,
junior,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, in the fall, we'll hear about some of your college visits, where
Yeah.
you're thinking about going, and that's
Yep.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me let Eli jump back.
Okay, but before you came over, we just had the St. Mary's head coach came
Yeah, I
in
saw that.
and
I
signed,
left right after that.
who was
to
a
drive
former
over.
coach at
Yeah,
St.
Coach
Joe's, which I
Archibald,
didn't
right.
know.
And
you know?
you mentioned the Triple Crown that
Great.
St. Joe's won in like 2021.
Yes.
One more comment from Diego Cruz.
Yes, sir.
OJ finally ran out of juice.
Of course, that's obviously been the standard line, but thank you, Diego, for that comment. But, anyway, so I know Diego would rather us talk more about soccer.
Yeah, he's
our
good at soccer. Yeah,
resident soccer guy,
the World
you
Cup
know.
is coming eventually.
It
yeah.
is. Right.
All right.
So I don't know if we're going to get a chance to catch
I don't
Coach
think so.
Cizek or not.
Yeah. We have 15 minutes before 20 minutes of game time.
Yeah. So.
Here? Yeah. So we're ready.
All right. So listen. Hey, Jack, come on over here. You know, this is Eli's co-host, Jack, right? On 12th Horseshoe.
Yes, sir.
Nice, sir. So you'll be calling the game with Eli
Hey, Eli.
today.
Yes. How's it going?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. It's actually not as cold as I thought it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
We would prefer it to be 75.
Yes, we all were exactly. See, that's 3 against 1 right now for the weather.
Doesn't look like it's happening.
No, it ain't happening.
So Jack and Eli do a show called the 12th Horseshoe, obviously, as you guys know. How's that show going for you, Jack?
It's going great, and I also have to say, this is great that you guys are going live from here. This is a beautiful campus. It's a great place to go live
Yes, it
here on
is.
Saturday morning.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the reason, give us the origin behind the name 12th Horseshoe.
Well, Eli is a Seahawks fan, and of course they're known for the 12th man because of how crazy their fans are. So basically, what the team did is they retired the number 12 in honor of the fans. And the Colts, well, we have a horseshoe, so we just thought the name fit, had a nice ring to it, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
how
how
it
it-
started.
Yeah. How
Okay.
the story goes.
All right, well, good luck with your show, guys.
Yeah,
you
all right.
know, on this. But there's something I just wanted to bring up before we close our show. And, you know, the show is called Sports with Mono and Mono. And as you know, my little brother was a star baseball and
Right.
football player here for several years back in the 80s. And, you know, I really wish he could be here with us today. He would love this. So I just want to give a shout out to him. He's coming along and progressing, and it's just been a great story for us. When Andrew and he knows my little brother very well, and I miss him. And this would have been a great opportunity for him to come back.
Yeah.
But you know, hopefully I'm going to get him back and bring him back to a game and try to relive his glory years,
His legacy,
as they
right.
say. You know, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this has been a
Great
great
show.
opportunity
Yes, it
for
has
us.
been.
I know you guys got some work to do because
Yes, we got the game next in about 15 minutes.
And Rob, thanks for setting up the production here.
As always.
And we, like I said, our guests and our loyal listeners, send us a comment at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com, and we'll be back with our regular show next week at 10.
Yep.
But you guys got some work to do, so
Yes,
go
we
to
do.
work.
All right.
Actually, next week's show will be
Maybe 8 o'clock, maybe, because the game is at 10, 11 o'clock, I
It's
think.
11, yeah.
Yes, and home versus Cranford.
Hey,
We may have to
listen,
move
if
it.
we have to do it at 3 in the morning, we'll do it at 3 in the
He'll do
morning.
it.
You know?
I'm up early, so I'll do it with him. Yeah, I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
All right.
But listen, great. Good luck today, guys, to
All
you
right.
guys, and
Thank
thanks
you.
everybody for joining us, and thank you to Athletic Director St. Rose and I think Assistant Athletic Director Garrett O'Malley.
Yeah.
Right? He came by and accommodated us, and he was a very nice gentleman, and I appreciate the support from St. Joe's. So, go St. Joe's.